If your organization is really going to thrive in a world that's just constantly changing, you just can't rely on those old rigid structures anymore. Today, we're going to dig into how to build something way better, a dynamic, collaborative, and truly adaptive network.
But first, let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You ever feel like good information just gets stuck somewhere? Or that making a simple decision takes forever? Maybe you've seen brilliant ideas just get lost in the chain of command? Well, if you're nodding along to any of that, it's probably because the very architecture of your organization is what's holding it back.
So, here's the plan for how we're going to get there. First, we'll look at rigid structures versus flexible networks. Then, we'll dive into 3 core network models, weigh their pros and cons, and I'll give you a guide for designing your own. And finally, we'll talk about the huge advantage that comes with being truly adaptive. All right, first up, let's talk about the real problem we're trying to solve here. Those traditional org charts, they look so neat and tidy on paper, right? But in the real world, that rigidity can actually kill the very dynamism that modern businesses need to innovate and, frankly, just to survive.
The truth is, that classic top-down pyramid structure just wasn't built for the kinds of challenges we face today. So, to become truly adaptive, we really need to shift our thinking from this rigid hierarchy to a more fluid, interconnected network.
Okay, so if the old way is broken, then what's the fix? Let's explore 3 really powerful network models that offer a totally new way to organize work. We're moving from abstract theory to some practical frameworks you can actually use.
First on our list is the centralized network, and this one should probably look pretty familiar. It's a model that's driven by one single central hub where pretty much all the information and all the big decisions flow through that one key point.
Yeah, just think of a classic top-down command structure, the CEO's office, or maybe a single project manager who controls everything. Now, it's simple and it's clear for sure, but this structure always creates a major bottleneck.
Now, our second model, the decentralized network, is kind of an evolution of that idea. So instead of just one single hub, this network is built around multiple, connected clusters of collaboration. And each one of those clusters has its own leader or hub.
A really great way to picture this is to imagine several connected teams, like, say, product, marketing, and engineering. And each one has a good degree of autonomy. They're working on their own stuff, but they coordinate with each other. It's definitely more resilient than a centralized model. But, and this is a big but, communication between those clusters is absolutely crucial.
And that brings us to our third and most fluid model, the distributed network. This is a truly open ecosystem with shared ownership. There's no hierarchy of hubs here. Every single person, every node can connect directly to any other node they need to. You can think of this as a true peer-to-peer system. Information flows freely, collaboration just kind of happens organically, and there's no single point of failure. This model offers the absolute highest potential for agility and real innovation.
Okay, so there they are, our 3 models, but the big question is, which one is right for you? Because look, none of them are perfect for every single situation. So let's get a little analytical here and really weigh the benefits and risks of each one.
Let's really break this down. The centralized network? Its key benefit is clear control. But the primary risk is that central hub becomes a serious bottleneck, slowing everything way down. Then you've got the decentralized model. It's definitely more resilient. The risk, though, is creating these independent silos that just don't talk to each other. And finally, the distributed network. It's amazing for unleashing agility and innovation, but it can feel kind of chaotic or directionless if you don't have really strong shared goals and open communication.
So how do you actually go about building a more open and collaborative network? Okay, let's turn all this theory into action. Here's a practical, step-by-step guide.
There are really 4 key things to do. First, you've got to map your connections. See how work actually gets done, not just how the org chart says it's supposed to. Second, identify your key nodes. Find those critical collaborators who connect everyone, and at the same time, spot the bottlenecks that are slowing you down. Third, empower your teams. Give small, autonomous groups the ownership they need to act. And finally, and this is a big one, open up the channels. Use shared platforms to make sure information can flow freely to absolutely everyone.
So you might be thinking, wow, this sounds like a lot of work. And you're not wrong. But let's talk about the ultimate payoff, what we call the adaptive advantage. This is the real reason this whole transformation matters so much right now.
This quote just perfectly captures the spirit of this whole thing, doesn't it? The goal isn't just to shuffle some boxes around on an org chart, it's to fundamentally replace these rigid, slow-moving hierarchies with systems that are just inherently more dynamic and adaptive to whatever comes next.
And here are the big takeaways, the real benefits. When you actually build this kind of network, you foster so much more innovation because great ideas can come from anywhere. You build true organizational resilience because there's no single point of failure. You encourage this powerful sense of shared ownership, and you dramatically increase your organization's speed and agility. So, as we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this one question to think about. When you look at your own team or your whole organization, what is the single most important new connection that you need to make to become more adaptive? Because that one first link could be the start of a really powerful transformation. Thanks for watching.